Hello guys, I'm Fisi and welcome to my view of the first race of the ARL F1 2013 League around Australia. This is going to be a 10-minute recap showing the key moments from my race with me commentating on it, and it's actually the first time I'm commentating myself on an ARL League race. If you guys seem to like it, I will try to bring this kind of video out in the day or two after each league race throughout the season, and then obviously the official ARL highlights with onboard views from several drivers and commentary by the brilliant X-G and Rapid Scorpion at the end of each week, as that obviously takes quite a while longer to make. But be aware that if you don't want any of the results spoiled before you watch the official highlights, you should stop watching right now. I will try my best to not show any results apart from myself obviously and the people around me, but obviously it's up to you what you want to do. So, for those of you who have seen my qualifying lap, you'll know that I qualified in P6 for this race, and if you haven't seen it, you can press the link which will be in the description or at the end of this video. But basically I was pretty happy with my qualifying performance, getting P6 just behind my teammate in the Red Bull. So far so good, but unfortunately I hadn't been able to get the practice in before the race that I'd planned, because leading up to the race there was some big Xbox Live issues, which meant that I had to oversee the situation with the other leagues which were due to start 1 hour earlier. So although qualifying went really well, I was not fully prepared for the race in terms of race pace and strategy. So the plan was basically to drive as well as I could. So as the lights went out in Australia, Season 7 was finally underway. The starts is one of the things that I haven't fully mastered yet in this game, so I bogged down a bit early to limit the wheel spin, and it got me reasonably well into turn 1, still keeping my 6th place, although a little bit of overtest there, so ARL Macaulay pressured me a bit. But it looked like a clean start from my point of view, so that was good to see. As going into turn 3, my teammate TraceMe92 had a little bit of a look around the outside of that Williams, but was forced to remain in 5th place with me still in P6. So as we came into turn 9, halfway through the lap, the Trace was bogged down a bit due to the battle going on in front of him. I got a good run and had a chance to go past him, but couldn't react quick enough and went into the back of him instead. And the same happened there through the fast chicane. I got a better line, but there was still no way past my teammate. And maybe that was a good thing actually, for the team at least, because from that point Trace seemed to be the quicker Red Bull. He was starting to pull out a little bit of a gap. While I was put under pressure from the McLaren of Randy McGrandy, I locked up into turn 3 and had no choice but to let him pass. So that was quite an annoying mistake, which now meant there was a big train of cars behind me, led by ARL Macaulay, as we come around lap 2. I managed to keep hold of 7th place for the time being though, and Randy McGrandy ahead dived into the pits after only 2 laps out, very early indeed, but I chose to go in as well on the next lap as my tyres were starting to feel a bit bad and I wanted to try to get an undercut on the cars around me. A few other cars also had similar thoughts. As you can see there, the Sauber of the Continents, the speedy Italian, was also into the pits after lap 3. So coming out of the pit lane, it was interesting to see where Randy McGrandy was going to be, and there he was. He had managed to stay ahead after pitting a lap earlier. So for me, in order to make the undercut work on the drivers who went a lap longer, I needed a good outlap now on the prime tyres. But even though I felt like I had a pretty decent lap, ARL Macaulay had managed to jump me through the pit stops, and my teammate TraceMe92 was still ahead of the both of us. So at this point I was in 11th place, but I wasn't sure if that was my actual position, because some drivers had started on the prime tires and were going longer into the race before pitting. So I tried my best to take the fight to Macaulay ahead, but instead I was put under pressure from the Continents who came at the inside. Going to turn 13, I ran wide off the track and had to yield the position. But no need to panic just yet, because being behind Continents at this point meant that I was going to get DRS on the main straight coming up. But I was struggling to get on the power out of the penultimate corner and through the final corner as well, which meant that the Continents had a much better exit onto the straight, and even though I had DRS and he didn't, I couldn't get close enough to make the pass into turn 1. But due to all this battling, ARL Schumacher managed to jump me as well in the pit lane, and it went from bad to worse when I lost the car out of turn 1, saving it from going into the barriers, but losing quite a bit of time to both the Continents and Schumacher. So instead of challenging further up the field as I had hoped to do, I was now put under pressure from my old teammate from last season, Royal L83, who's now driving in a Ferrari, and he was with DRS going up the inside of turn 1, braking beautifully and making the move stick for P11. And another new driver for this season, Jason97 F1, had also joined the party now. He also had DRS coming towards turn 3, but I was defending the inside line this time, determined to not let another driver pass me, and I managed to hit the apex nicely to keep hold of P12 for now. And all this battling certainly didn't help my quest to finish in the points for this first race, as the top 10 drivers were starting to get away. But at least I got P11 back from Ryan when he went wide on the penultimate corner, and I also got DRS. But then I lost a little bit of time on the straight as I missed my upshift for like half a second, trying to put into a rich fuel mix and open DRS at the same time. But it was still enough to stay ahead of Ryan and Jason for the time being. But then on the next lap, Ryan got a much better run out of turn 1, again with DRS coming towards turn 3. Jason was no longer with us as he had gone into the pit lane, but I was trying my best to hold the inside line to defend from Ryan, but he braked later than me. I had to leave him room on the outside and he went around the outside to make the move for what was currently P6, because other drivers ahead had already pitted for the second time. So I had some good battles with Ryan last season when we were both teammates in the Marussia. It looked like it could be another good one here. I was certainly trying my best to keep on the back of him throughout this lap, but I did not manage to get close enough to have a go at him with DRS or any other places on the track. So on lap 13 I got to say a quick hello to last season's championship winner and one of the front runners in this race as well, Noble2909, as he went past me on much fresher tyres. Ryan chose to stay out a lap longer, but I had to go into the pits at the end of lap 13 as my tyres had completely fallen off the cliff. So I now expected to drop back down other points to where I was before all the pit stops started, and I did indeed, down to P13, as crucially Jason managed to get ahead by pitting several laps earlier. However, I was now on fresher tyres than Jason and slowly but surely started to reel him in. And as you just saw, I managed to get back ahead of Ryan through the pit stops with the undercut, as he lost quite some time staying out longer on the worn tyres. So on lap 19 I finally got pretty close to Jason after he had been battling with Big Shot for a bit, although Big Shot, having qualified on the front row for this race, was looking quick, managed to get a gap after a while. This meant that a battle between me and Jason currently looked like a battle for P11 in the race, although we were currently up to 9th and 10th place because other cars had made their final stops already. So on lap 20 I would make my first move to try and get past Jason. He was defending inside going to turn 3, I braked later than him, but a little bit too late, went wide onto the corner. Got a bad exit with some oversteer and Jason managed to stay ahead, so failed overtaking attempt on that occasion, which meant that I was now back under pressure from Ryan. But coming towards the end of the lap, I had managed to get a good exit out of the fast chicane. I was now looking up the inside of Jason going into turn 13. He left me lots of room, which was nice of him, and ran wide, holding Ryan up a bit as well. So my planned strategy before the race was to do 3 stints on the prime tyres, which I was currently on course to do, coming in now at the end of lap 20 for a 9 lap stint on the primes towards the end. But Ryan was going for a different strategy. He was going to stay out and try and make his primes last for a few more laps and then go on the option tyres instead for a quicker last stint. Jason, however, went into the pits with me, and a decent stop from Red Bull meant that I managed to stay ahead of him, as you can see there in his Force India pit box there, Jason. So I was still ahead of him, but it was going to be interesting to see how Ryan's strategy would play out with him maybe coming back through towards the end. But for now I was back down to 12th place, which is quite a bit lower than I would have hoped for, having started the race in 6th place. So it's not been a very good race so far. I think my main problem in this race was the tyre wear and my lack of confidence in the car once the tyre is starting to fall off. So that's something I'm going to have to look at before the next race in Malaysia. But as you can see, I just went up to P11 there because Ryan, with 6 laps to go, went onto the option tyres and will be charging to catch both me and Jason towards the end. But for now I was busy defending from Jason, who going on to lap 25 had a good run with DRS coming into turn 1. He's on the outside, but I braked very late, just about giving him room on the outside and giving myself a decent exit coming towards turn 3 as well. But Jason still has DRS on this straight and he chose the inside line for this corner. He's trying to get up my inside. I'm holding it around the outside though, and then lost the car a bit, and Jason was struggling to keep control of his car, having to avoid me there. So that's an incident I felt a little bit bad about, because it was my oversteer moment, which kind of made him having to take avoiding action. But at least he did tell me on Twitter after the race that he didn't blame me for that incident, which I was quite happy to hear, although it wasn't the best ending to our battle. But speaking of bad endings, as you might have seen while me and Jason were battling, ARL Schumacher disconnected from the race, and he was in front of us at the time, which meant that his last lap battle with me and Ryan, who had caught back up on the option tyres, was now for P10 and the final point in this race. So after a difficult night I could still come away with a point, but it was going to be very difficult to hold on from Ryan in the final few corners, as he was on the fresher and quicker tyres. So we got 4 corners to go. I'm trying to pick the defensive lines coming towards the corners to not allow him pass, but here he's trying to force his way up the inside, but I managed to hold it around his outside, almost sticking a wheel in the gravel, almost throwing it away with 2 corners to go now. Ryan's still putting me under massive pressure as I'm struggling to get the power down on the worn tyres out of the final corner, but so did Ryan, who will have DRS coming towards the line, but he is not close enough, meaning that I stay ahead to take the final point in this race. 37 seconds off the winner though, which is a bit more than I would have liked, being only 6 and a bit tenths off on lap time pace in qualifying. But this is a very difficult league once again this season, and 1 point is better than I did here last season when I finished 14th. so there's still some positives to take, although I still got a little bit to learn in terms of the strategy and setups and stuff with this new game. But remember guys, if you want to see the full results of this race and how all the other drivers went as well, then tune in for the official highlights, which will be out by the end of this week. So I hope you enjoyed the little recap of my race from the first round of Season 7, but for now, it's goodbye.